I couldn't find any videos for how to replace an AKAI APC40 MK2 slider, so I'm just gonna make a really quick video of what I find. I have no directions on how to do this, so I'm just kind of like playing it by ear. But essentially you want to remove all of the knobs and the slider knobs. That is really easy to pull right off. If you're struggling to get them off, that means something's wrong. They should just pull off with a little bit of force. The knobs came off really easily. I just like barely had to pull on them. Some of the sliders were a little bit more difficult, but everything came off pretty easily. I removed, and I know I'm not doing a good job with static and things like that, so I'm probably putting some of the circuit boards at risk, but generally I don't really give a flying F, so I'm just gonna get it done brute force style. I've got two bad sliders, slider number 3 and 6. Both gave out on me. I did try using some fader cleaner, deoxit fader cleaner on there, and it seemed to actually short them out. And I think it's because I plugged it back in before all of the residue from the fader slider cleaner had evaporated. So I think I just shorted them out. So I did order new sliders. I got 3 of them, so I have 1 extra one directly from AKAI. You can email their product support and they'll send you a Word document. It's an order sheet. It was a little confusing because they seem to like not really do a lot of part supplies for the APC40 MK2. They kind of defaulted to the APC40 MK1, and I had to remind the gentleman I was emailing with, no, I need parts for the MK2, not the MK1. So maybe other people just don't have problems with their APC40 MK2, but I have had problems. Years ago I had problems with my crossfader, but that deoxit fader slider cleaner really worked well for that. And I think it probably would have solved the problems that I was having with random MIDI being sent from my sliders if I had allowed it to evaporate first. So it's probably my fault here. But anyway, this is what they look like. There are 4 prongs on one end, 2 on the other, and then there are kind of like 2 little points that stick out. I don't know if I'm going to be soldering. Most likely I think I will be, or if there will be like harnesses that they connect into. Guess we'll wait and see. So anyway, moving on, I removed all of the screws on the back that are all Phillips head. Try not to strip them out, go slow, make sure you have good tools. And that exposed the circuit board on the back, which I don't know yet how to remove. I just removed all the knobs so that they'll slide out. So I'm guessing I'm going to remove next these screws. I think they might be holding the circuit boards in place. So let me see what I can do with these. The board doesn't come out just having the knobs out. So there are definitely some screws holding things in place. There's sort of an upper circuit board here. I'm not sure if that has to be removed first. I can see that there are a couple connectors holding that to the main circuit board, but it would be nice to keep that intact. So I'm gonna try removing what looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws and see if that allows me to take the circuit board out. So doing. Okay, got the screws out for the main circuit board. Let's see if that allows there to be a little bit of movement on this. Yeah, I can see that like the board, yeah, the board's kind of bending a little bit, but it doesn't feel like it's really like popping out yet. I want to be really careful with it. I don't want to force anything. I would like to be able to use I use this a lot. This is kind of like my, you know, controller for Ableton, and I really love my APC40 MK2. I've had it since it was brand new when they first came out, and it's just a great piece of gear. If all you want to do is trigger clips and turn knobs, gets the job done. So what I'm realizing is in order to get the circuit board out, I'm gonna have to take those little nuts that are holding each of the potentiometers, the knobs, in place off. 1, 2, 3 screws holding the small board in place. It looks like there are a couple connectors that I'll have to remove as well. But you know, it all looks pretty intuitive. I don't, you know, all the screws are the same size on the board. You can clearly see where all the holes are. So far I haven't seen anything that looks too complicated where like it could be difficult to put back together. So let's see if, okay, so this I see. So this is the, like, I don't know what you call it, but like the output board. It has the USB port, the power button, and then the pedal port as well. And then looking at how it connects, I don't know if there's like a latch. I don't want to break this, so. Usually with these little connectors, there's sort of something that you have to lift up. Okay, I'm gonna leave it connected, of course, right? Like, why disconnect it? You don't need this connected. So leave that connected, remove the 2 screws underneath, and the board should lift up after that. Yeah, work smarter, not harder. So there's definitely no need to remove those connectors. So now this whole thing should basically lift out and you know, give it a little bit of help on the back. Maybe double check that you didn't miss any screws that are still holding it in place. I don't think anything should be, you know, like I said, that much work. So I can see that at one point my APC fell and a corner broke, and I can see that there's like a little piece of the like the body of this thing holding the board in place. So I just pried that back, and I can tell it's like basically wanting to come out now. It still kind of feels like it's being held in place by something. I'm not sure if like, this is interesting. I don't know what's going on here. Let's have a look. Yeah, it definitely feels like there's something holding it in place. It's not wanting to pop out. When I'm noticing the what is this knob? Okay, the master / like Q level knob doesn't really seem to want to push out. I'm not sure if it's like just a matter of giving it a little bit more of a push out, because like, yeah, all of the top potentiometers, all of the sliders, everything's pushing out nicely. It's something, it really seems like that Q level knob is to the point of resistance here. Everything else is like so loose. I was not expecting that. I mean, it looks the same as the tempo. It's really, it's like you're working on a car and like you run into one bolt that's like rusted on there. Sort of how it feels. Like everything else is free except the Q level. And there's nothing, you know, nothing that I can see that you would need to remove. So the only thing that I can think is if you really gotta like use some energy, like you gotta push hard to get that knob through. So this is one of those times where it's like, man, yeah, you can use brute force, but it could end up damaging your equipment. Of course, you know, this is what ends up taking all the time, is usually one little annoying thing. So here's the Q level knob, and this seems to be where there's something holding on to the board. Oh, okay, so I just pushed on it very hard, and I think we're in action. Okay, cool, there we go. Oh man, this would be a really cool time to spray paint my APC40 case custom colors, but the light's shining through there, so on the knobs, and that would take a lot of time to like tape off and make it look nice. I'm not really good at that kind of stuff anyway, so cool. There's a signature on it. It says IW. Here's what the board, APC40 back of the board looks like. There's the front of it. Okay, so looking at the sliders, it certainly doesn't look easy to replace. They're, you know, soldered in there, and I'm a beginner at soldering, so I think I'm gonna have my work cut out for me here. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm replacing. Yeah. So they're gonna be like 6 points to solder. Sorry, no, they're gonna be 8 points to solder for each slider. Let me see if I can get my APC40 up there and kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, so the sliders are here on the other side there. Here. So this is number 3. Here. This is number 3 here in the back. I'm sliding it up and down. So in order to remove it, I'm gonna have to heat up 4 points here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 here, 1 here, and then 2 there. And then it should slide out. And then I'll have to like resolder it back in place. So this is pretty precise soldering. I don't really have that much skill, and I have a really shitty, cheap soldering iron. But you know, what's the harm in trying, right? So I'm going to eat my lunch, and I'll do this later. Really, so far I like the suction better, but it's kind of hard in some places to get it out. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, you can just kind of suck that. So cool. 4, 5, 6. The 2 middle prongs are definitely the easiest to get the solder off because it's just, they're big. The 4 small ones are definitely the hardest. But I found that the 2 small ones, if you can get the 4 cleaned up, and then the 2 middle ones cleaned up, then the last 2, you can just kind of warm up the solder and pull the solder out. You don't have to get it all off. Yeah, that works really well. Alright, well, that's pretty good. See if I can give you guys a little bit of a view of what I'm doing here. Alright, so this is the number 6 slider. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 posts there. You have to remove the solder from, and then you have this one is the middle one, that one's the middle one, and then you have 2 right there. So you can see I've already removed the number 3 slider here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I started getting the solder off of number 6. Using a plunger, you push down on that and you push that button up once the solder's hot. You push that button in and it sucks up the solder. And I've gotten most of it off of the middle ones. The middle ones are bigger posts and it's kind of a bigger blob of solder, so it's pretty easy to like suck up. The other ones are quite a bit harder. But you just have to get enough solder removed so that the posts are kind of free. And you can move. Hard to tell sometimes if you're even getting any. There. So I think like that middle post, you know, I can basically move it around with my finger now. I should pull it out. This one has a little bit more. I want to get out. From what I can tell, those wicks, at least what I got, pretty much useless. 100%. I'm sure having nicer equipment would help quite a bit. Alright, I'm pretty happy with the middle ones. Now it's onto the small ones, which are a lot harder. I'll start with the 4 tiny ones because they are definitely the hardest. Just try to get as much of it off. You can just wiggle them out. I had to kind of pull a little bit to get them out, you know, kind of like give it a little bit of pressure on that, pulling the slider out. But it came out pretty easily eventually. It's really gratifying when you heat up the solder and then suck it out. It's nice when things do what they're supposed to do. But I mean, gosh, these circuit boards just don't look like they're really meant to be repaired. You know, instead of like, just buy a new one. I don't like to buy new things. I like to try to fix them. The soldering gun's really inconsistent. It sometimes just doesn't do what it's supposed to do. You're like, not melt the solder. I don't know why. I think it's a piece of chunk, a really cheap one. Got a bunch of it that time.
So you're good when you start seeing like space around the posts. You get a little bit of space, and then the solder starting to come out. And let's give it a try and see if we get any movement. It doesn't really seem like I've gotten enough of it out for it to pop out yet, but yeah, see, it's not really coming free, but I might be able to heat up some solder. So we can get most of it out of them. I can feel it moving already. I'm trying to make a little bit. If this works, I'll be pretty surprised because I feel like I'm botching this. So like, not doing a good job. Probably should really make this one. All the prongs are out except these last two, which I haven't even touched yet. So I'm gonna see if maybe I can just heat them up in the cold and get it out. Heat up, hold out, right? Just get them hot, it comes out, comes right out, yeah. There we go. Okay, so I got both the sliders out. Now I guess the idea is to get the new ones in there. See if I have a working APC40 MK2. Alright, so here are the new ones. 1 and 2. Just pop them in there. Do a really basic soldering job and see if just see how we're doing, because I don't really feel like confident about what I've done here. Okay. Port 3 is in place. Got the solder and the rosin. I've never used rosin before. So this is the rosin I got on Amazon. And I'll do this way. Okay, so really good news. I barely even buttoned it up. I didn't put all the screws back. I just wanted to see, what the outcome was. I did a pretty sloppy soldering job. It was not pretty, but everything's in there tight. And I just replaced the third slider and the sixth slider. Both of them, third was completely dead. 6 was just sending erratic MIDI data. Now, as you can see, here you can see I'm in Ableton. You can see 3 right there. Smooth, completely smooth MIDI. being transmitted. Okay, let's try number 6. 6. Where are you? Oh, you can't see 6, right? Let me scoot over. Okay, 6. Boom, up and down, up and down. Okay, so at this point, it looks like all of my sliders work. I successfully repaired my APC40 MK2. I apologize.
And I was standing hand in hand, we got it all.